Ito ang programang Bawal ang Pikon. Get it straight with Daniel Razon. Kasama po natin si former Secretary of Tourism and Interior and Local Government, Rafael Alunan III. Paano ho kayong napasok sa usapin ng Bangsamoro? And pwede nyo ba kaming bigyan, at least siguro briefly, para sa isang ordinaryong mamamayan na malayo naman sa South, na parang hindi naman, yung iba parang walang keber or yung iba naman parang ano ba yan? Parang ano ba talaga ang lundo nitong lahat na to, and how is it going to affect the nation? And kami dito halimbawa na hindi naman kami kasali doon sa mga deals na yan. Paano kayong napasok ngayon diyan, Secretary?
I think it's because of my experience and exposure to the negotiations during our time, during the time of President Ramos, on the GRP MNLF agreement, peace agreement, which was finally signed in 1996. I was involved there because peace and order was our top priority in Mindanao. And I was the National Peace and Order Council chairman, concurrently holding the position of chairman of the National Police Commission. I was also the chair of the Anti-Terror Council. So all of these had importance in the discussions for peace and order in Mindanao, because every day in Mindanao we had to deal with the issue of terror, and we were dealing with a breakaway faction of the MNLF. In the case of the general peace and order situation, we felt that if we didn't bring a just and lasting peace to Mindanao, we would never be able to develop Mindanao, and in the process, lift the nation, the entire nation, including, and most especially, the poorest provinces in the country, which were in ARMM. So our objective was to more or less equalize the situation for our Muslim brothers who had it so bad for generations. And it was time to put all of our hatred aside, put all of our distrust or mistrust aside, and work together towards peace and development. So it was, I think, in that context that I was invited to a talk yesterday at Tapatan. That was the first time I ever that's right. Opened my mouth on the Bangsamoro
for the longest time.
Basic Law. Yes, simply because we were never consulted by this administration. And in fact, just the other day, kinausap ako ni Presidente Ramos tungkol sa BBL dahil sa may lumabas sa isang pahayagan about na during the time of President Ramos, there was no integration of there was no decommissioning, there was no recovery of loose firearms, etc., and there was no integration of Moro fighters into the AFP and the PNP. It was the complete opposite. In fact, there were two administrative orders that integrated a total of 7,500 MNLF fighters into the AFP and the PNP.
Tsaka we've been covering that, no?
Yes.
That time I was with the PTV4,
Yes.
Yung mga turnovers and everything.
That's correct. And I was so shocked na napakakulang naman ng research ng administration na ito, no? For them to say that. Kasi ang ginagamit nilang mga manunulat ay nasa stable nila. Dapat alam nila yon. Napaka-basic na information yun eh. Now, yesterday, we were talking about the efficacy of the draft bill and whether it would pass constitutional and legal muster. And I said, well, you know, we have to wait for Congress to render its decision. And either way, I said, from the way I see it, either way, the loser in that decision will bring it up to the Supreme Court.
Pero sa nakita ninyo na laman nitong Bangsamoro Basic Law, itong draft na ito, I suppose pinag-aralan nyo na din to as compared to what happened before and the existing situation that we have now. Do you think that it's going to be effective, or will this really solve the problem?
I think the intent of the Bangsa Basic Law is to give more autonomy or full autonomy to this entity, no, compared to the ARMM experiment. Okay, good intentions, right? But the way it is worded raises a lot of questions. Like, for example, if I'm not mistaken, it's section 4, where it talks about intergovernment relationships, no? Ang relationship daw ng Bangsamoro will be asymmetric to the central government. If you look up the terms sa dictionary, asymmetric means disproportionate, unbalanced, etc. No? What kind of relationship is that? No, and it's undefined, and they have to explain why does it have to be asymmetric. Diba?
And in what terms?
Yeah, what are the what did you mean by that, right? So it's unclear. It's unclear, and it raises questions as to the real intent. Is this a prelude to future dismemberment? Can the clouding of the term be deliberate, so that in the future somebody can say, no, that's not what we meant this.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So these are the
hindi kaya ito panggalingan na naman ng umpisa na naman po ng usapin ng distrust later on. Because
Correct.
if you're raising that, and then there are questions like that, and it seems that there are some sort of manipulation when it comes to the wordings, and then
Yes.
baka mamaya ay magresulta sa...
you know when we worked on the GRP MNLF peace agreement, we made sure that everybody, all the stakeholders were consulted thoroughly. Okay, hindi yung kunyari at after the fact. I mean, they were all part of the conversation, and it was bloody. You know. Second, yung inclusivity included external stakeholders like the OIC.
Yeah.
Right? Para ang objective namin is, when we submit the final product for approval or disapproval, we can say with a clear conscience that we've done completed staff work. The byword at that time was CSW, completed staff work. And completed staff work required a unified effort, a team effort, no? And in order for us to have a unified effort, we needed to operate on the basis of shared values. Okay, why are we doing this? Right? Are we doing this for a limited objective, or with thinking far down the road for our common good? Right? And we got that settled out of the way, right? And the framework agreement clearly defined the deliverables of the Philippine government and the MNLF towards the attainment of a just and lasting peace. Now, any agreement once signed means that the real work begins. And it's not just between the contracting parties, but the beneficiaries of that peace agreement. They have to buy in. They have to understand the value of that agreement and what it means to their future, because they have to work at a just and lasting peace on a daily basis. No, because every day there'll be obstacles. Haharangin yan, and they'll have to work together to remove those obstacles, and that's daily. That's continuous. It has to be sustained. At the government level, once it passes on to the next administration, that administration is obligated to fulfill the contracts signed by the Philippine government.
Was that the reason kung bakit sa palagay po ninyo ay...
Pero Dan, ang problema is that we don't have that mentality of continuity.
Oo, kasi kung ano yung ikaw nag-umpisa, ayoko ituloy yan, hindi ako bida dyan.
Yes. They don't realize na ang nakapirma dyan, government of the Philippines. Obligado ka.
So kaya tingin niyo failure talaga itong nangyari na ito dito sa nakaraan?
The agreement is not a failure. The implementation leaves much to be desired.
Alright. So same thing will happen now kung ganun ang magiging mentality pa rin natin. Even if this BBL, sabihin na natin mabalangkas ng maganda, still, kung hindi ang susunod na administrasyon ay kaalyado ng administrasyon ngayon, we cannot expect the continuity ng kanilang mga inumpisahan.
Yes, that's one. And the other is, kung wala namang consultation sa tao sa baba, sa mga tao sa baba, because so many in Mindanao are saying that they've been left out of the conversation. Hindi nila maintindihan kung ano itong BBL na ito.
Yan.
How can they work for peace? Diba? As a matter of fact, my own personal view when I speak to my friends in Mindanao, both sides or all sides, I go, why do you need a third party? You're the guys that live together. You wake up, you see each other, you sleep beside each other. Settle it among yourselves. Clean up your own mess. Why do you bother with other people?
So, but I was able to talk to former Senator Nene Pimentel, and he was like saying na ang pinakamaganda daw po ay federalism. Would you agree with that?
Well, people say that they've raised the question, kung pumasa itong Bangsamoro Basic Law, that more or less provides the Bangsamoro a federal form of government, right? And the other parts of the country will say, well, how come they've got a good thing going for them? Tayo walang ganyan. So it could eventually lead to a clamor for federalism. No? The question is, are we prepared
For that?
for that? Because if we can't even make a presidential system work, how can we make other systems work?
So kung kayo ho ang tatanungin ngayon dito, kasi of course we've been spending a lot of time and a lot of money as well, and we know that we're really devoting a lot of efforts. Siguro ito ngayong ginagawa nila with this BBL is talagang ito ngayon yung last hurrah, kumbaga, no? Ano ang opinion niyo? Dapat tigilan na natin ito muna, or
No,
how can we fine-tune everything?
Peace is very desirable. And we really need peace. If we want to move forward as a nation, we need to settle our differences.
But if we're not doing it right, the more that it will give us trouble.
Well, Rome was not built in a day. So if we're not doing it right now, we'll have to do things much better so that we can start doing things right. If it's not with this administration, the next administration.
So ano po ang advice ninyo dito with regard to the present situation now and yung status nitong BBL? Ano ang pinaka at least suggestion na pwedeng i-inject para mas mapaganda, at least yung contributions that we can give?
Well, the onus is on Congress now, the lower house and the Senate, and they have to make sure that no stone is left unturned. They're going through their due diligence, and they have to find out whether the executive branch, when they drafted this and submitted that bill to them, did their own due diligence. And that's the subject of the inquiry now. But even for the sake of argument, Congress does it right.
Okay.
Right. There will always be an aggrieved party, and that aggrieved party will bring it up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court will have to go through the entire process again. But primarily to see whether it meets constitutional requirements, right? Constitutional and legal requirements. And I've heard rumblings in Mindanao to the effect that either way, we will have trouble. We will have trouble. And I think that stems from the fact that it was mishandled from the beginning.
Okay.
When people are left out of the conversation, a lot of suspicions come to mind already.
So kung naipasa po ito, it's not going to solve a problem sa palagay ninyo?
Well, people are saying that while the intent of this entire process was to bring about a climate of peace, it's going to create the opposite. It will create the opposite. It will simply fuel a climate of hostility.
Medyo nakakatakot ho yung ganong prediction din, dahil parang baka bumalik tayo sa mas malala ang insurgency natin.
I think we should avoid falling into the trap na things are hopeless. Things will never be perfect. All right. but we should strive for perfection as much as possible. And we should do it for the right reasons. Part of the suspicion stems from the fact that some people in government simply are pursuing the peace path because they want that peace agreement on their wall.
But having
as,
said
as a trophy.
yes,
And then there are mutterings on the side that some others are pursuing it because they're after a fat bank account.
but having said that, sir, nakikita ninyo kasi kung halimbawa ay tuloy ito, kailangan natin mag-umpisa somewhere. Kailangan natin gumalaw somewhere. Kailangan natin gumawa ng hakbang at least dahil kailangan natin talaga yung peace. Ngayon, which is very important. Pero pagka ginawa natin ito at natuloy ito at ito ay naprubahan and later on talagang ito na yung ma-concretize, sabi ninyo, it might create mas malaking problema. So it will not serve the purpose then. Parang are you saying na wag niyo na lang ituloy ito?
No, I think ituloy, but I think the people's involvement is important. People have to engage, both sides.
But it is not happening.
Well, if it's not happening now, perhaps the next administration should do that.
But parang ano na po yan, hindi ba putting the cart before the horse? Pagka nilagay mo ngayon na dyan, kasi dapat ngayon pa lang pinag-uusapan na natin yun. Di ba?
Actually, noon pa dapat.
Dapat kasama na sila ngayon. Parang after everything has been said and done, tsaka pa lang natin ngayon.
We can always take corrective action.
So parang magiging corrective pa tayo na pwede naman natin umpisahan ng tama.
No, dapat naman kung nakikita natin na may mali, we should take corrective action right now.
No, but if we can do it right now, why do we have to wait for the time that we need some corrections?
Except that if it doesn't happen now, that's because there's a lack of leadership, right? And proper management. You need to have the right staff to steer this process through. And if people don't have the right staff, in DILG, we define good governance in two words. Matino at mahusay.
Okay.
Matino meaning doing things right. Doing the right things. Doing the right things. And then mahusay is doing things right. Right? Pursuing the peace agreement is being matino. You're doing the right thing, right? But the question is, are we doing it right? Because the road to hell is paved with good intentions. No? It's not good enough that you have good intentions. You got to have the skill to see it through. No, and we see that there's a lot of imperfections here, and that's why there's a need to take corrective action. And the leadership must be able to listen, must listen to what is being said, and they should take the initiative to undertake the corrective action. In this particular case, since the executive has already passed on the baton to Congress, Congress will have to cite that. And probably the consultations will be done there in the halls of Congress. They will have to call all of the stakeholders. And that's where they'll have a real conversation going.
So with the kind of Congress that we have now, you believe that it is going to happen?
Well, I hope so. I hope so. I really hope so because the future of our country rests on their shoulders now.
So kung kayo ho ang magbibigay ng direct advice sa presidente with the present situation, if in case sabihin na baka makinig, ano yung parang gusto nyong sabihin straight sa kanya na ito ngayon sa palagay ninyo or advice coming from you na pwedeng gawin?
Well, that's going to be very presumptuous of me to give him advice. But
well, at least parang galing sa tinig ng mga boss.
No.
Diba? Parang ito lang yung ito lang sa pananaw lang ninyo, 'di ba? Not necessarily na kailangan kuhanin 'yan, 'di ba?
Well, I'll probably say what I said at the start of his presidency, because it's kind of late now. At the start of his presidency, I said that he should have a ready-made plan already of how to conduct his presidency for the next 6 years. He should have a legacy in mind already, what he wants to leave behind. And he has to be the president of 100 million Filipinos, not just for those who voted for him. He should not exclude those who didn't vote for him. Like President Ramos, when he took over, he said, you know, I'm a minority president. I was voted by a plurality. I'm a Protestant in a Catholic country, in a sea of Catholics. But he says, I have one advantage over all of you. He says, I am president of all the Filipinos. So I have to take care of all of you now.
Sa slogan ho na matuwid na daan, sa nakita na ninyo in the past, at ito na lang, may nalalabi na lang ilan, paano nyo ho babasahin yung matuwid na daan? Nalakaran ba ito o may define ba ito talagang matuwid na daan?
Actually, at the start, I was saying matuwid na daan falls short of the mark. Because, you know, if you're talking about a straight path, there's also a straight path to hell. No? But I think
parang naging matuwid na daan papunta sa kapahamakan.
I think the better term would have been ang tamang daan. Because it may not necessarily be straight. You may have to, there may be a lot of twists and turns, like going through a maze. But you'll always end up in the right destination.
Dapat tama yung nilalakaran.
Yes.
So nakita ba ninyo na tumatahak tayo sa tama na lakaran?
Well, let's put it this way. Kung ako yung auditor, sasabihin ko, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that all of your intentions were good.
Okay.
Alright? Pero ang tinitingnan ko yung resulta, ang outcome. There's a performance gap, a very big performance gap. And that is where they can be faulted.
So parang the proof of your intention is the result of your work.
Correct. Yung dapat yung i-audit mo yung outcome at saka yung impact ng mga inputs mo. I don't care to listen to your inputs because anybody can make those inputs. But did you make it work? Did you produce results? And what was the impact on the people? Yan, that's the...
Dito naman sa before I let you go, anong opinion nyo ngayon dito sa nangyayari kay VP Binay?
Well, it's open season. It's he has to answer now to the people. A lot of charges have been raised against him, and if he wants to aspire for the highest position of the land, he has to. Well, I think the people are looking for a leader that has integrity and can perform. It can't be one or the other. It has to be both. And if he can't override the criticisms against him, if he can't prove himself even in a court of law that these charges were purely done out of political vendetta, halimbawa, or to prevent him from becoming president, magiging damage good siya. And that could undermine his presidential bid.
Personally,
because I think that what people are trying to say is, if you want to be president, we want to see an ethical president. No? And it seems that there are many things being brought out that prove otherwise.
Personally, meron na ba kayong presidenteng naiisip sa kalooban niyo?
Hindi pa kasi, well, I've seen, based on experience, usually it's the last 6 months leading to the elections na yung mga official candidates come out. No? And that's where we make our selection. So at this point, things are very fluid. And the presidential aspirants are all trying to kill each other.
Pero wala ba kayo naiisip na kung kayo tatanungin sana tumakbo si ganito, sana tumakbo si ganon?
Yeah, there are many suggestions that are being put on the table.
Sino suggestion niyo po?
Well, I have to really study, no, kung sino. But I'll tell you, we have a lot of very good material who are already in place, no, at the local level, at the national level. Governors, mayors of capital cities, Congress people, congresswomen, congressmen, even senators, no? And we have actually a large talent pool. The question is, will the political parties choose the right candidates based on qualification, right? And past performance? Or will it boil down again to the same thing? Winnability, ability to bring money to the table, etc., regardless of their integrity or their capacity to serve the public. I think the people should demand from the political parties responsibility along those lines. No?
In your opinion, sir, do you think that Secretary Maro is a good material?
Well, you know, everybody has his good points, okay? All the presidential candidates have their good points. What voters have to weigh very carefully is, do their good points outweigh their bad points, or vice versa? And then they make their selection accordingly.
So if in case Secretary Maro runs, are you going to vote for him?
That depends on who the other candidates are. That depends.
Okay.
You see? Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much, sir. Maraming salamat po for being with us. Former Department of Tourism and Interior and Local Government Secretary Rafael Alunan III. Dito lamang po sa programang Bawal ang Pikon. Get it straight with Daniel Razon.